Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to COASTER-net Update. We've got some breaking news out of Six Flags.
Everywhere,
where they have revealed their entire slate of 2019 attractions. And Danny, let's just go around the horn here. We're looking at the image of what every park is getting. So let's just go around the horn and see what every park is getting and just make a few comments on it. So we're going to start over at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, where they are doing Batman the Ride. Now that doesn't give you...
Hold it. Now let's tell everyone that they now have to guess what kind of ride they're getting if they don't know.
So this one is the SNS Free Fly model. It's going to be themed after Batman because they already have a Joker. They already have a Wonder Woman.
and the Batman the Ride logo is different than the one that Fiesta Texas uses.
Yes. This one's the new Batman logo that they've been using. I don't know where, but that's a new Batman logo that I think...
Yeah, I haven't seen that one before. Now, You're more into the comic book side.
Yeah, DC's using that one a little bit more, I believe. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
So, it's an interesting choice for that park because they already have a Larson Loop. They have a Skywarp.
They've had a nice little run of coasters here. I mean, or coaster-like things. Joker in 2016 was the Larson Loop 17. And then Harley Quinn 18, and now the Free Fly in 19. So they've had a nice little run here the last.
And they need some rides, and it'll be interesting to see where in the park they put it. I didn't get to look at that.
It's going just off to the right of the Harley Quinn along the access road. So you're going to have Superman, then Harley Quinn, and then Batman right in a line there across from Joker.
Okay,
that's where it appears to be going, according to the renderings I've seen.
So the next one up is Hurricane Harbor Concord, which is one of their new parks. They're doing some Caribbean Cove. It looks like a family expansion of some sort, so that's cool. We already did the show on Six Flags Magic Mountain. I don't want to talk more about West Coast Racers. I think we've said enough about that.
No, I didn't want to talk about it as much as we did on that show, so let's go
on. Then moving to next up on the list is Frontier City. They're doing a Timber Town, which is a kiddie expansion, something that park really needed.
And in the video, it looks as if there's going to be at least one coaster added there, one kiddie coaster. They showed that Zamperla, the Zamperla coaster that all the parks have, like the Howler.
They have a kiddie coaster already. So
what kind is it here?
I don't remember off the top of my head because I didn't write it because it had a height requirement. So
let's look real quick here. So they've got Diamondback, which is the Arrow, Silver Bullet, Steel Lasso, Wild Kitty.
Wild Kitty is it? Yeah.
Wild Kitty is the old Alan Herschel one from Elitch Gardens. So it is on the older side.
It'll be interesting to see if they replace that or if they just add to it.
It looked as if it was going to be the Zamperla model. Hold on, let me look up the Howler. The Zamperla Family Gravity Coaster 80 STD, the 80 standard there. There's a bunch of those. There's 43 of them. This is the one that you know and love, the Coco Cruiser, the Howler, the Roadrunner Railway, that ride. That was in there. I don't know if they're adding that, but that was in the video. So.
Yeah, so Six Flags Mexico then is doing Bugs Bunny Boomtown and DC Super Friends, kind of like what I would assume Over Georgia did, a few seasons ago when they revamped their whole kiddie section and put in a whole bunch of new stuff. That
also showed the Joker Funhouse coaster from Over Georgia, so it seems like maybe they'll be getting a kiddie coaster as part of that.
Could be, or they could just be reusing footage. So
they could be, but
yeah. So then Hurricane Harbor Huactepec or something like that. Huactepec.
Yeah.
They're doing a very unique slide that you are a little bit familiar with, the King Cobra. Doesn't Dorney have one of those?
No, it's just Great Adventure to my knowledge.
Great Adventure, that's the one.
Yeah, so Great Adventure has... Yep, Great Adventure has it. Great Adventure opened theirs in 2012. Status closed. The ride did not open for the 2018 season and will be dismantled at the end of the season, paving the way for a new attraction in its place. So Great Adventure took this out. So I wonder if this is being sent to Huactepec from Great Adventure. I had heard that. See, we're not water park people here, and I've never been to the water park over there. I've always remember it being a very, you see it when you drive through the parking lot. It's right along the access road there. But I did hear someone say, oh, I wonder if they're moving it from Great Adventure. I was like, the Great Adventures take their out. Apparently it did not open this year, and it's going to be dismantled at the end of the season. So maybe this is just a relocation.
So that's an interesting move. The next one is Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Now, this one had a lot of discussion.
They're getting exactly what we were told they were not getting.
Well, it's really weird because, if you follow Texas Thrill Seekers, Jeffrey Siebert is in there, and he's been interacting a lot, posting a whole lot of teasers. Did a really good job with it too. Talked about how big this was going to be, and then in the last hour, in almost like the 11th hour, he came in and implied that it wasn't going to be a giant discovery. So everyone's like, oh, well, what is it going to be? I'm like thinking, well, maybe it's a bigger Skyrocket 2, because he's like, it's going to be taller than Superman Krypton coaster. Well, it turns out that it's just a matter of semantics, and it's not a giant discovery. It's going to be a giga discovery, because that's what they're calling these big ones. Whatever. It's a pendulum ride themed to the Joker. So we got another because
they've now used their allotted Joker ride name.
Yeah, so they already have Batman. I'm surprised it's not Harley. Well, they can't do Harley Quinn because that's the one at Over Texas, and people would get upset by that.
No, Harley Quinn is the Cyborg ride over there.
Oh, that's right.
The one in Texas, the pendulum in Texas is Riddler Revenge.
Yeah,
which hasn't been used much elsewhere.
I'm upset by because I really like Riddler, and I like the theme of that.
Riddler, and one we're coming up here with Supergirl in another ride or two. Yeah. I think those are the next two characters to start getting their names.
Over Texas has Lone Star Revolution, which is going to be a Larson loop. It is yet to say how big it's going to be. So we don't know.
Think they said this one. I think they said this was a 70-foot one, or maybe that was LaRonde. I don't think they specified the height.
So this one, if it's a bigger one, I'm not too excited about that because I don't count those as coasters. So I think they're on a completely controlled ride cycle, and I'm not going to get into it with you right now, Danny, over this.
Nope, this isn't the place to do that.
Either way, I don't know if this is a good choice for Over Texas. I'm a little surprised by this, to be honest.
We've been pegging Over Texas as maybe the place that they would go for a big coaster or something.
Like this is Over.
They shouldn't put West Coast Racers there. Sorry.
Okay. So I'm a little surprised by that one. I'm not sure if that's the right move. Supergirl at Six Flags St. Louis, which is a Zamperla.
The UFO, the New Generation Enterprise.
Yeah. So and I really like those rides. I rode one out at obviously Coney Island. So I really like that one. And I like the theme. I like that they're using Supergirl. I'm not against this. I think it's pretty cool. I'm assuming they're going to put it next to where are they putting this? Are they putting it next to Superman or just putting it wherever they want?
I have no idea.
I don't know. So that's an interesting move. Over Georgia also getting a pendulum ride called
one of the big ones.
And also going to retheme the entire area to a steampunk theme.
Now, where is this going?
I didn't read that. I just know that the whole area is going to be steampunk.
Hold on. Let's check this out here.
I'm just trying to think in the park where it could go. I'm thinking maybe down below by the Skyscreamer, but
looks like this sketch is really bad too.
Hard to tell.
I can't see anywhere. All I see is that the Joker one is going at Fiesta is going right in front of Superman's brake run.
Yeah, that's kind of what we kind of figured over there.
Yeah. Pandemonium.
Anyway, it doesn't matter because there's other things to talk about here, Danny.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
The one that we talked a lot about, Six Flags America, Iron Wolf / Apocalypse: The Last Stand, is getting a complete new theme. Is going to be a floorless coaster called Firebird. I'm a little upset that it's not called Iron Wolf, but I'm not upset by this logo or by this color scheme. I think it's going to be really cool. It's breathing new life into the stand-up coaster. I don't know how it's going to ride. Like the conversions are kind of, a little bit better than they used to be. for Patriot and Rougarou. Most people
Vortex to Patriot, it was kind of like they were both nothing rides, and it still is.
Rougarou was probably a above average improvement.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really excited about that. I think it's going to be a good conversion. I think it's going to be good for the park. It keeps their coaster count up. And I think more people will ride it now that it's a floorless coaster. I think it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not upset that we're not getting Iron Wolf as the name or anything. It just would have been a nice little Easter egg for us nerds.
But. Well, I am glad it's not Fortnite, so let's just leave it.
That would have been the most Six Flags thing ever, but we dodged that bullet for now.
So the next one is Great Adventure. There were rumors of cranes being brought in that we heard, last week or so. So they've already gotten started on their pendulum ride. That's going to be called Wonder Woman. So we've seen that out at Discovery Kingdom. They're going to keep that theme over at Great Adventure.
And it's a big one again.
And it's another big one. Great Escape, which is going to get the New England is next. Yes. And New England is going to get the Cyborg ride. It is not a tourbillon. We don't have any of those here. This is one of those spinny rides. Can you explain this one? Because I don't really understand.
Oh, someone said earlier today what these things are
indoors. Actually. We know that.
Yeah. Someone, I forget who it was. Someone was talking about how Six Flags New England really likes to do rides that they already have because they put in Goliath right next to Flashback. Yeah. They put in the Harley Quinn pendulum ride when they already have a claw ride or a similar ride to it somewhere else. And then this is very similar to it's closest to like a Chance Wipeout.
Okay.
Which I think, do they still have? Is that what they were saying they still had? Let's see. Does it actually say what this thing?
So this is kind of like the Cloud Puffer at Worlds of Fun that I really love.
Yeah. That thing's awesome. We were actually making a joke about Cloud Poofer today. We were like, you go to Worlds of Fun for the coaster, stay for the Cloud Poofer.
Yeah, but I love that ride. So if this is anything like that, it's
you face outward. It's almost like if you were to take you were to take the discos and you were to just put them on the Chance Wipeout platform. But it was a disco car where you're facing outward. That's kind of what it's like. I don't see. It's slipping my mind as to what these are actually called. I think they're Zamperla rides. It's
okay. Nobody cares.
Anyway. So it's not that important. But.
Nobody cares what it's called. So the next one at Laurent, another Larson Loop. Once again, you said this one you think is a smaller one.
This one I think they said was like the 70-foot one or whatever it is. It's a Chance Freestyle.
Okay.
Or that's what they're hypothesizing. Okay. Yes, Chance Freestyle. Because Great Escape got one of those last year, and it was called Pandemonium, I think. So it's whatever they got last year. So okay.
So Laurent with the Larson Loop, interesting choice there. I was hoping for a little bit more at Laurent this year. I've always been hoping for the RMC of Monster, although I don't know if that's ever going to come. Laurent, once again, they needed another ride. And going all with the Larson Loop. Why not, right? Get everyone one.
I guess. I mean, there's not that many places left that don't have one now.
And then Great Escape is actually getting more Six Flags theming. We've heard that they're going to start using the DC characters a little bit more there, I heard. But here in this announcement, a Bucket Blasters ride looks like one of those water spinny rides that you shoot at each other.
They were called the Tsunami Soakers for a very brief time. The Discovery Kingdom one's the Penguin ride now or whatever.
Yeah. So that's that's I think a nice addition to that park. Another ride for that. Darien Lake. So a lot of people speculating about Darien Lake, maybe Predator getting the RMC treatment. Not so much. They are getting the Sky Screamer. Every Six Flags needs a good star.
The Six Flags Sky Screamer, and they're talking about how they're actually going to pull the Six Flags branding back to Darien Lake. It didn't sound like they were going to do that at Frontier City. No. It sounds like they're going to kind of leave that one alone, but it sounds as if Six Flags is going to go all in.
Maybe Maybe they're just putting their name on all the rides they install. So if they ever have to pull out, they're going to be like, nope, what? That's our ride.
They're going to pull a Kentucky Kingdom and take out Chang before they close the park.
It's like the kid that takes the dinosaur to kindergarten. He puts his name on the bottom of the foot of the dinosaur to make sure he takes it home with him. So
or better yet, he uses the class dinosaur and writes his name on the bottom.
Yeah,
and then says it's, but so this is fine. What's interesting is they didn't announce anything else in terms of like more branding. They didn't talk like, hey, we're going to rename it Superman Ride of Steel or whatever. They didn't. It wouldn't surprise me if they do that, but they didn't talk about that at all.
Yeah, so we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, if they do it. But and then the last one is probably, I think, the main event of the entire announcement here for Six Flags, and that is Great America's Max Force that we talked about way back this morning. So
it seems like forever ago.
I think some takeaways, and I just want to do a few takeaways here. I feel like Six Flags is now all in with. I don't disparage a lot of I like the pendulum rides. I think they're great additions. But what it says to me is that they are concerned about the local crowds. That they think that. When you go to a Six Flags, how many people only go to that Six Flags? I'd probably say about 75% of the people only go to that park, don't travel anywhere else besides like the big like Disney, Universal, that stuff. So build up these parks, give them all these great flat rides. The pendulums are great rides. They're a lot of fun, especially this version of them. So I can't say anything against that. I think we're also seeing a lot smaller investments across the board to maybe make up for a few bigger investments like Max Force and West Coast Racers. I think there's more of a shift in maybe sending more money to a few bigger rides, which I like that move because that might mean that in the future we're going to get bigger and bigger stuff and maybe see smaller stuff at the other places. I don't dislike this announcement. I don't think it's an amazing year for roller coasters. We're COASTER-net. I don't think there's anything to get like super excited about here, but I think this is a solid announcement for the Six Flags chain.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's some people saying that this is their best announcement in 5 years. I don't know that I agree with that. I don't agree with that at all.
Unless you really like pendulum rides, and then
I guess. I mean, 2015 we got Wicked Cyclone and Twisted Colossus, among other things. We got a Joker Free Fly in there. So are you really saying that Max Force and West Coast Racers are better than Twisted Colossus and Wicked Cyclone?
Well, even last year you had the single rail, you had Twisted Cyclone, you had.
You had a free fly in there too. You had a couple pendulum rides. You had some Larson loops. I mean, you basically had the same thing, but you had an RMC in there, and the single rail.
I'm also a little surprised that we don't see any standard conversions here. This is the first year in how many years that there's no RMC being done.
We didn't see one in 2017 when they did 3 free flies and 3 Justice Leagues.
Well, that's true.
But
were huge rides too.
Yeah, they were. So I mean, those were expensive rides.
So overall, I don't dislike this announcement. I think it's solid. It's obviously designed to get people into the local parks.
Yeah.
It's not really designed to get people traveling, I don't think, which is not the Six Flags method. So overall, I think it's good. I don't think it's amazing in terms of roller coasters and in terms of overall Six Flags announcements. I think it's better than last year's.
Well,
maybe. No,
I don't know. I think
last year was more intriguing because we didn't know what a single rail looked like. We didn't like Twisted Cyclone.
Last year there was much more creativity and unknown. We had 2 of the Tourbillons. We had the Skywarp, which we have none of either of those this year, which is very interesting because that. It'll be interesting to see if we get any of those next year to see if maybe there was a 1 year like, hey, let's see how this goes. But the fact that there's no single rail, there's no Skywarp, there's no Tourbillon anywhere here. There's none of those 3 things which they debuted last year. So last year we had an RMC conversion, we had some Larson loops, we had some of the pendulum rides. And then we had some of your smaller stuff, your small flat rides, a couple water park things. But we had those three things between the Skywarp, the single rail, and the Tourbillon, the Cube, whatever you want to call it. We had all those things that were unknowns that were new and interesting. And they talk about, Jim Reed Anderson talks at the beginning how innovation and whatnot is in their DNA. They didn't do that this year. They didn't do anything new this year.
Well, I don't know. Like they're using two new companies for Coast. Well, not new because the S&S Free Flies are S&S, so they're just doing something different with S&S. They're using Premier rides for the first time in a long time. You can interpret innovation however you want, I guess. So I think
what really made last year. You and I said that last year was a really, really good year for Six Flags, and it's because we got two we got new stuff. Like there were two really solid coasters, with a lot of new stuff that we had never seen before that made it real interesting. This year we're getting two coasters, but we're getting. Everyone else is getting shit we've seen before and shit we've already ridden. Whereas we hadn't ridden the Tourbillons, we hadn't ridden the single rail, we hadn't ridden the Skywarp. Yeah. Most people still haven't ridden the Skywarp, but how late it opened. But, we don't have that unknown surprise, something new and something exciting and something that says, I need to try that out. Yeah. I love those Zamperla giant discoveries, giga discoveries, whatever. I love those rides, but at the end of the day, if I go to a park and I'm pressed for time, I'm probably skipping it because I've ridden it a couple times at different parks.
Well, so we'll see what happens. This might be the end of the announcement season. We don't know. There could be some mysteries out there. Hopefully there are, just to keep us talking. But thank you for joining us here. All across the board as we looked at all these new announcements this season. It's been a blast. You've been great with watching and commenting and all that as well. So we really thank you for that. So I guess
and arguing with us. Don't forget that.
Yeah, that's always fun too. So as always, I am Andy Ravarchek from Chicago, Illinois,
and Danny Miller from Binghamton, New York.
Right on, Ride Warriors.
See you guys.